webinar. Today we're going to talk about let's get creative. Everyone can create art. And we're going to be looking at some really fun, engaging activities that allow every child, regardless of how complex their body is, to be able to authentically engage and participate in art. So today what we're going to be learning about is you will learn one way to incorporate switch activities for authentic music participation. You'll learn a method to incorporate switch activities into the creation of art, and looking at how you can use the power link to create some food art, which will be kind of fun. So I just think art is such an important way for our students with complex bodies to be able to express themselves. And so just imagine being filled with all that emotion, yet unable to express how you feel. And that's what many children with disabilities face. Through art, however, all children may freely express their feelings, so they can just get their feelings out, whether it's through music or poetry or visual arts. Cooking is an art. So any of those things allow these kids a way to freely express themselves. So my question here is art important for students with disabilities? Think about that. So here's some information from the Center Stage Music Center by Lillian Brooks. It was summarized from her article, and it says, it was long thought that children with disabilities They couldn't learn, they couldn't have fun, and couldn't enjoy life. And if you know someone with a disability, you know all those things are wrong, because they are very clever and creative and fun and learn and just, often live life to the fullest, more so than most of the rest of us. So we know now that that isn't true, and understand that children, even those with the most complex needs, can do all of these things and more. Encouraging exploration of the arts is a great way to introduce children to what they can do. And art works on all of those skills that we're working on, all the areas that you may have an IEP goal or a kind of a long-term, as an OT, I kind of have a long-term vision goal of this is what I want my student to be able to do when they're an adult. And it works on all of these same kind of things. So it's just a super, awesome activity to allow them to develop all those great skills. So it fosters cognitive development. It facilitates physical development as they're working the switches or the instrument or different things. Their physical development improves. They become more accurate at being able to activate the device. It strengthens their problem-solving skills. So they might do something one way, one color, or with one sound and be like, that isn't really what I wanted to do. And they can kind of really get to kind of play around with making some of those decisions around their art. It develops critical thinking skills. They learn goal setting, and it nurtures social skills. Because when they're in these classrooms with their gen ed peers and they're actually doing the work of learning, they're part of that class, and it just, everybody wants to, usually they have like the coolest tools, so everybody wants to come in and help and engage with them. So it just really does is a great way to nurture those social skills. And with art, there's no right or wrong answer. It's simply created, shared, and appreciated. So some other, Gretchen Hanser did a presentation at Closing the Gap in 2019 that I was lucky enough to attend. And here's some things that her group talked about, that it develops agency. So you're going to hear me, when you hear me present, you're not going to hear me talking about cause and effect. Because like my dear friend Karen Kanga says, you're born with cause and effect. You cry, a baby cries, they get your attention, they get what they need, so you're born with that sense of I can do something and make something happen. But what we're teaching is agency. We're going to teach them, hey, I can do something really cool when I activate this switch, and I can make it different, and I can change it. And so you're teaching that agency where they have a little bit more control. And I feel like when we talk about this as agency, it really feels more respectful to the student, and that you're presuming competence. Because when you hear someone, oh, they don't even know cause and effect, your perception of what they're capable of doing is going to be much lower than if you say, hey, we've got a goal on for agency, and we want them to work on activating the switch to make 3 different types of art devices work so they can improve their agency. So I think it's just a better, more respectful way to work on helping kids learn that ability to make great things happen. You're working on their expression. So whether it's, artistic or musical, or just a way to kind of express who they are. Participation. I mean, they are an active participation. An active participant. The exploration is, trying things and being like, if you're talking to them, did you like that? Did you not like that? Is there something you do different? Learning, they learn new skills, they learn more about themselves. You can definitely tie art and music into literacy. And you can have a book written about kind of what you can do a PowerPoint book about what you're going to do, and you can read about it and talk about it, and then you can write about it or title your art using their words or their letters. So a really great connection to the literacy curriculum. It's individualized, it involves the whole student, and they're able to learn, again, those abstract concepts. So Gretchen Hanser is an occupational therapist, and she works for the International Academy of Hope out of New York City. And the link down here will take you to the International Academy of Hope's website. And then we're just going to watch a video because this was the presentation that her team did at Closing the Gap. And it was just so inspiring to me. And I want you to see some of the things that they are actually doing with kids, because their videos are way better than anything I'm going to make. So here we go. Let's see what Art Speaks is at the International Academy of Hope.
iHope is a unique, specialized school where students come and get intensive therapy and a rigorous education curriculum. And we welcome you to see all the things that they can do from an art perspective, which is wrapped into our curriculum.
We want children to have experience.
iHope is a unique, specialized school where students come and get intensive therapy and a rigorous education curriculum. And we welcome you to see all the things that they can do from an art perspective, which is wrapped into our curriculum.
We want children to have experiences exploring as a step towards learning.
Whoa, beautiful!
So we support them in every way through occupational therapy, speech therapy, physical therapy, using their bodies, their minds, and obviously our educational opportunities are all embedded and integrated together. So that's what we do here at iHope, and we are doing it today through art.
We want our kids to be as independent as possible. We want them to grow into unique individuals. We want them to have the chance to express themselves, and we believe that art is really the best way for them to do it. It's the most fun. Good job, Jackson!
We are giving them that experience to do things by themselves, to advocate for themselves, to be more independent, and it's life-changing.
It's time to start painting. Ask your students whether they would like to paint using a ruler or their hands.
Wow, good job, Trim. You're really covering some canvas there.
I
I see it in my classroom, and I see it here in iHope in all the classrooms. Everyone is so happy to be here, and everyone feels so fulfilled with what they're doing.
I see orange. We're learning about melting in the classroom. We're talking about different seasons. So we are going to be melting these beautiful crayons with our hairdryer and using switches.
We have a harness swing suspended from here, and we've put paint on the bottom of their feet so they're able to explore the canvas and run around and create their own independent, individualized artwork.
What are you thinking?
They love it. I think it's fun to have that sensation on their feet.
iHope is a community of people that truly care about making sure that children have access to education and access to the tools that they need to thrive in their communities and in their everyday lives.
OT kind of plays a role in adapting a lot of the art tools or a lot of the activities to meet the students' needs. Can we build up the handles with special foam handles? Can we change the positioning so they have a different grasp on it so that they can be as independent as possible in each activity?
My favorite part of my job is just coming to school and seeing the smiles on all the kids' faces and being able to interact and play with them every single day.
With this intensive therapy program and infusing technology in their day, they're making progress. And we're really seeing outcomes through smiles, through communication, through movement, and through art.
And that's what Art Speaks is all about. And that's what iHope is all about.
All right, go for it, girlfriend. Okay, go, Caroline.
Students are right now making art that you can bid on.
Good guess.
And all the funds will go to assistive technology that is so needed here.
We use these tools every single day so these kids can have the best outcome and the best education possible.
Art is my favorite.
Me too.
I love art. I love Art Speaks. I love our children as artists.
You're exploring your art.
All right, so I wanted you to see that video because it is just such a great way to really get to see some of this art in action and just some wonderful, very fun, cool things. And I want to share this slide with you, a little bit about my why. And my why is this young lady here. Her name is Danae. And she was went to sixth grade and was up doing, it was in several electives, art and band. And so we started off looking at some things in art, and this lovely picture you see right here is something she and her paraeducator made. She was using a really cool switch toy that they don't make anymore, unfortunately, called a doodle bug. And it's like a little ladybug, and you can put a marker in, and it was a 2-switch thing, so you could change directions. And so they would choose all of the colors. They would choose markers or colored pencils or sparkly things. And so she would choose all of the colors and the tool that she would use, and then she chose kind of where she wanted the tape. And then you can see the stencils here. She went through and picked which stencils she wanted. and then where she wanted them placed. And so she actually won like the superintendent's award at the art show, which was super exciting. And then the other thing is she loves music. And so we were trying to figure out how to get her involved in band. And so I'm like, I don't know, we're going to figure this out. And so I wheel her down to band and introduced myself to the teacher for the first time and introduced her and said, I'm not sure how this is going to work, but we're going to make it work. And kind of what we started with were two little Mac buttons, little voice output buttons that we connected to two pillow switches. And I got in the car and we recorded with GarageBand, because the car is a really good place to record with a nice sound system. We recorded drums and a cymbal, and those were her instruments, and switches were placed at her head because she was waiting for her power wheelchair to arrive. And so she was still working on those skills, and she was in band, and it was beautiful because it was like figuring out, like all the other sixth graders, you know, we were figuring out her instrument. She was exploring and learning just like they all were. And it was just a really awesome, lovely time. So let's get you where we, right there, you can see her again. Okay, so when you are looking at art, art is a form of expression. And so you want to make sure that they have their voice with them so that they can express what they feel, what they think, what they want, what they like, what they don't like. And so it could be a variety of things. So it could be your core board, your low-tech core board. It could be something like this Big Mac button that you record, you know, something like if you're doing color choices, you could be like, that's the one I want. Or, you know, if you've got two of them doing an art activity together where they're using the switch adapted pourer, you could have one say ready, set, go, and then, you know, they could go. So it could be your high-tech device. It could be a pod book. And then here are some really nice links. And so this one is from Saltillo. And so it's like cooking and baking. And so these are some different ways that you can, some areas that you work on, the reasons you communicate, and then some things that can be modeled with that. So that is a really awesome resource. This is from Project Core, and it is creating art and using AAC and some different things you can, like if you're making seed bombs, some things you can do, marbles painted on the earth. So there's some really great ideas there as well. And then this is the iBliss band out of Ontario, Canada. And they have a whole band program. And so there's a really lovely video on this site. And so definitely lets you look at, you know, you can definitely tell by this picture the social impact of doing art, as well in all those videos from the International Academy of Hope. That was just really awesome. Okay, so I want you to look at this owl here. It's a lovely owl, but what do you think what do parents think when their child with a complex body brings this home? You know, often they think, oh gosh, the parent did a really great job making that. And there's very little agency, you know, probably a lot of it was like hand over hand. They were directed where to put everything. Probably the only pieces that are independent is this little squiggly thing in the star, because these stars are obviously placed in the sky, but this one is placed on the stomach, and then writing their name right here. So those were probably the two things that the child did without being directed or hand over hand or helped with that. So, you know, I've had parents who have children with disabilities who are like, when this, you know, when these come home, they don't mean anything because I know my child didn't do it. So, you know, I think being willing to backstep that from the beautiful Pinterest art and just let them create what they want to create is so important. Because I love this quote here. It's like, when you cut it for me, write it for me, open it for me, set it up for me, draw it for me, or find it for me, all I learn is that you do it better than me. So that's not the lesson we want these kids to learn. Remember, we were talking about agency. We want them to learn that they can do it, and the way that they do it is good enough. It's good, so and then I also wanted to share this because I think this really kind of puts it into point. So often I like talked about just let them put the googly eyes anywhere, wherever they want. Imagine telling Picasso where to glue his googly eyes. The world, the art world would be so different without Picasso's art. And so many of our students with complex bodies or complex communication needs, have the ability to do beautiful art, but it may not look like, conventional art. It may look much more like Picasso's art. All right, so before we get started, I want to share with you this video I was able to make. So I made a do-it-yourself switch adapted pouring tool that I got the idea from a conference I attended, a session I attended at ATIA, where a young man makes all these adaptive switch toys. And so I had been trying to kind of figure out what I needed to do, and it was going to be a lot of stuff to build one. And this was like priceless. It's like so easy, like $20. So here we go. Today I'm going to show you how to make a switch activated pouring device that you can use to do acrylic pours, pour pancake batter, pour batter into waffle irons, pour dry ingredients into mixes. So it's a really great tool to help our switch users have more and more ways to engage in all sorts of activities. This one's handmade. It cost, under $40 to make. Some of the stuff I had already, so it actually cost like $20 to make. So here, let me show you what we've got. First, I've got a display like you might use in like a jewelry shop or something that turns. You can get those on Amazon pretty cheap. I have got a tripod here that I'm going to use, but you could use any kind of mount that had a circular plate to it as well. I have a paper cup. You could use a plastic measuring cup. And then I have some Gorilla mounting putty. The other thing that you will need is a power link. And I have set this to timed seconds. It takes about 12 seconds for it to rotate till my cup pours. And some type of a switch. It could be a jelly bean switch, a proximity switch, a variety of things. So let's see how it works. And that is how you make a switch. So I'm going to tell you, I was using a tripod because that's what I had. I didn't have a mount at home, but certainly a gooseneck mount or a lock line mount or something that will get it more over what you're trying to pour it on makes a big difference. Okay, so what I've done is any of the ones with the blue text has been hyperlinked. And they are a variety of different art projects that you can do. So let's look at the acrylic pours, just so you can see what the pouring look like. So we are all set up here and ready to go. We have the power link. We have the tripod. We've got it protected with a bag, some art paper, and of course we have our AAC device, because anytime you're doing anything with a student who uses an AAC device, you want to have their AAC device. And then I kind of have like an alternative pencil choice board here where we can do some partner assisted scanning for choosing colors. Then, of course, I have my paint. So I could say, I have all these colors. Do you want red, blue, yellow, green, or black? And then this time I want you to nod your head and tell me which one you want. Say yes. Do you want red? No. Do you want blue? Yes. Okay, we are gonna start with blue. You also this is Proliquo to go. I'm gonna turn it around here. And you could say, I wonder what color we're gonna make it. I wonder what. So we can go to make and then go back. And we could go to colors. And here you could choose a color. So we're gonna do blue. And what other color are we going to use? I think let's use yellow.
Yellow.
Okay. Now we have blue paint inside the cup. And we've got the power link and the switch. And then we are gonna make it go.
Go.
Here we go. Let's see what happens. Here goes the yellow. And obviously something like a gooseneck mount or a lock line mount would definitely get you more where you want to be. Here is our finished product. Now, if you wanted to make it even more interesting, you could put foam balls or marbles and use your blow dryer with the power link to blow them across to make a different pattern as well. Okay, and then let's go to the crayon art. Because I think that's super fun. The walking animal art, you got to see some of that in the film from Art Speaks, where they would attach markers or paintbrushes or rollers to like walking pigs or dinosaurs, or using the walking animal to knock the paint over, you know, to do an acrylic pour that way. So there's some fun. There's a couple of videos of my, one of us doing some pig painting and chicken painting. So definitely check that out. The crayon art, let's go to that one. One of my favorite activities. Whoops, well, it looks like this link is wrong. I'll have to fix it. So you'll get to see our walking animal art here. Is walking animal painting. And you can do this with any animal that walks, and you can definitely liven up that pink pig and make him do something crazy. So I have my pig with some rollers that have been rolled in paint, and you can get ones with fun patterns and all sorts of stuff on Amazon. I got these at the dollar store, and they're just kind of plain and boring. And these are not the greatest rollers ever. So again, you could get your AAC device and you could help choose the colors, or we could make it go. All right, here we go. right, and that is pig painting. Next, we have our chicken painting. So this poor chicken has a prosthetic limb, and so we decided he would be a great way to recycle him for some fun, interesting painting. So I have taken paint with the rollers and rolled it on both of his feet. All right, let's see how this goes. I'm gonna set him here and let's see what rooster painting looks like. I'm gonna activate the switch. I'm gonna make the rooster paint. And there you get a sense of what chicken painting looks like. So all sorts of fun, engaging, crazy. Okay, so adapted scissors are great. Because you can use them to cut anything. So if there's like a cutting activity in the class, you can certainly hook up the switch adapted scissors and have the child do some cutting, or cutting just random pieces of paper and making a collage. You can also order a pair of battery operated scissors from like Amazon, and easily with a battery interrupter switch that into a switch adapted toys. I'm going to go over here and talk about like blow dryer art. So blow dryer art, things like, you know, blowing foam balls or porcupine balls, or any, you know, marbles across the page to kind of get some different patterns and stuff is another great way to use the blow dryer. There's adapted spin art. If you saw in the Art Speaks video, they had made a big spin art, which is like my dream to get one of those made. And it's basically, if you Google on YouTube how to make a large spin art, it's basically like a drill, and then they've got something on top of the part that turns, and then you put the paper on there. And so just a fun way to do that. And a spirograph, and then you saw a lot of the foot and hand art. And so you can do things like tape words, so they could pick a word out of their AAC device and say it's like, or, you know, love, and you could tape whatever word they choose, and then they could do their hand and foot art. So lots and lots of really fun, creative ways to do art. So the other thing is eye gaze art. So I've got a couple friends, young adults who are eye gaze users, and they have so much fun creating art. And so apps that they recommended to me were Paint 3D, and the link to it is here. And if you get on there, there's some really cool things you can do. There is Photoshop, which is also a really fun way to create some different art, and Doodle Buddy. So those were the top three that they recommended. Then the bottom 5 are ones that are available on the Tobii eye gaze device. So there's some different ways that you can incorporate some art as they learn to use their eyes for different things, and especially learning like the mouse control features, which are a little bit more complicated. It's just some really fun, creative things. All right, so let's talk about photography and videography. So I was hoping to have some videos of me flying my drone and taking pictures and videos, but the weather didn't cooperate, and so I don't have that yet. But one thing, if you look at the drones, you can get a relatively inexpensive drone. I think mine is like $40 from Costco. It'll fly with an app, so you can put it on an iPad. You can make a custom recipe to do a custom command for it to do some things, to where it will take a picture, take a video. And the things you need for that is your drone, some type of switch interface to talk to from your switch to the iPad. So a Bluetooth works, Tekla works. I think some of the other, the Praetorian will work as well. An iPad or a tablet, a mount for your iPad and a mount for the Switch. And then you need someone who's going to go run around and chase a drone for you. So unless you're really good at unless you really get your recipe, it could land right on your lap. So the other thing is using the photo and video functions in an iPad or Android tablet or phone to do some photography as well. So another great way to get these kids involved and included in the general education classes, yearbook, video, videography, video editing. You can do that with switches. The drones, if you're the kid out there flying the drone, you're going to be like the coolest kid in the class. And so everybody is going to want to be your partner for that activity. So again, really upping the cool factor and increasing those social interactions. Let's look at, there's a variety of music devices, and you can use the enabling device. Music box is a little square box. There's a video here, and it has 4 places that you can plug switches in. So you could plug a variety of switches in, and the video shows some examples of that. And certainly you could have a whole group doing some music with that, which is super fun. And then the preschool switch activity, I'm going to open. I am Miss Heidi, and today I am going to show you a direct access switch activity to work on teaching someone kind of a preschool age student multiple switch use. So this is a way that they can definitely engage in music or different things in the preschool classroom. So let me show you how it works. All right, so this is the play school music activity. And so you can see we've got 4 switches. We've got a bass drum, a cymbal, a snare drum, and then a drummer who's going to be doing some woohoo kind of noises for us. And then we have this big drum here. So there's like 5 switches you could be working with a child to activate. Or you could have some friends working with them. So let's run through the first one. And then they get that reward of that fun, engaging song. It could be an activity where when it's time to come to circle, this person plays the song that's for circle, and everybody goes to circle, and then maybe there's a different song for going out to recess, or a different song for when it's music time. So here's the cymbal. All right, so that's an idea of how that works. So you could definitely have it be a great transition activity for a lot of different things in the preschool classroom. So that was just part of the routine that switch user would, let everybody know it's time to do something different. All right, and then we're going to talk about voice output buttons, the Skoog, and the beams and the Jambox. So let's learn about those things a little bit. So turning voice output buttons into musical instruments. This is what I had done with Danae at the beginning. We started off with a pillow switch like this one here, and eventually moved to a candy corn switch, and then the AbleNet beamers and transmitters that we were using at the end. And you can have 1 button, you can have 2, this one has 4, and you plug a switch in there and just record. You don't need the switch to record, but typically the best way to record is with GarageBand in the car, and pick a couple instruments that are going to blend with the band. And so we chose a cymbal and a drum. And and then just recorded it. And so then they were able to play it with that. So I have had some teams record the actual instrument, and that just doesn't seem to kind of blend and work as well. So I've preferred kind of using GarageBand. Okay, the Skoog. The Skoog is a really awesome tool. And this is Brad and Dave, and they are a dynamic duo that have a organization called All Access Life. And they do product reviews and a variety of things. So definitely on the resources, there's information to like and follow their website and YouTube, subscribe to their website and YouTube channel and Facebook page. So let's see what they have to say about this Skoog.
What's going on, All Access Lifers, and welcome to another product review. Today, Brad and I are going to be reviewing the Skoog.
The Skoog is a tactile musical interface with 5 buttons that can be programmed to make just about any sound. Its universal design enables fun, accessible, expressive music making for children, parents, teachers, and families.
The Skoog is essentially a squishy cube that plays music. You can tap it, twist it, pinch it, or squeeze it. The amazing thing about this device is no matter what your skills, abilities, or musical talents are, everybody's a rock star with the Skoog. The Skoog is only compatible with iPhones, iPads, and MacBooks, so make sure you have one of these devices before you go and purchase one. We're going to be putting a compatibility link in the description so you can see if your devices are compatible.
It's also super simple to set up. Simply download the app on your iPad, iPhone, or MacBook. Pair your Skoog and turn yourself into a rock star.
So this is Skoog Music's free app that you pair with the device. The first thing you're going to want to do here is to pair your Skoog via Bluetooth. Once paired, you have a variety of different settings you could choose from. The first one here is your pitch and tone settings. Beside that, you could choose from a variety of different instruments you'd like to play. And finally, you have your touch sensitivity, so you could choose a desired touch that's correct for the user.
My biggest barrier when it comes to making and playing music is my dexterity.
Many people with various disabilities may lack the fine motor skills necessary in playing your traditional musical instrument. The Skoog completely removes this barrier. We're now going to give you a quick example of Brad rocking out with his Skoog. Another really cool feature is that you could choose to play a song in the background while you're playing with the Skoog from your iTunes or Spotify account. And here's a quick demo of that.
This product is great for everyone, especially children. However, we've personally recommended it to 3 categories on our website, which are autism, Down syndrome, and cerebral palsy.
So the texture and the tactile nature of the Skoog make it a great sensory product, not only for relaxation, but to stimulate and to grab the user's attention. There are also a variety of apps that pair with the Skoog to allow it to unlock its full potential, such as Swift Playgrounds, that turns the Skoog into a coding device, GarageBand, where you can edit and create your own music, Skoog Scratch, and Skoog Access. The 2 we're going to focus on in this video are going to be Skoog Scratch and Skoog Access. Skoog Access is a free app that turns your Skoog into a communication aid or a switch control interface. This app is ideal for people with speech or language barriers, and it's also a great introduction into the world of augmentative and alternative communication. The circular buttons you see here represent each side of the Skoog. So by programming these buttons within the app, you're actually programming what each side of the Skoog will say. So, for example, if we program this red button here to say apple, when you hit the red side of the Skoog, it'll say
apple.
You can also choose to add images to these buttons by going into the settings, clicking on the camera here, and choosing an image from either using the device's camera or choosing one from your library. So here's our fruits and vegetable example, just to show you what it looks like when you have all the buttons programmed.
Carrot, broccoli, apple, banana, blueberry.
Skoog Access can also turn your Skoog into a switch control interface, which makes it easy to control your iPhone or iPad using your Skoog with iOS switch control. It's fully customizable, so you can turn on or off the 5 colored sides to use as a single switch or multiple switches. This way, you can select any screen item by simply tapping or pressing your Skoog. Just note, to use this feature, you're going to need 2 iOS devices, and this app will have to be installed on both of them for this feature to function. So Skoog Scratch is very similar to Skoog Access, where you have 5 colored tiles that are programmable to each side of the Skoog. The major difference with this app is that it allows you to record your own audio, which is a lot of fun. So as an example, let's say you want to program the red button to play a recorded sound. You simply click the red button, record whatever kind of audio you wish, and then press the Skoog to hear it back. So let's give it a go. So as you can imagine, the possibilities are endless, and you can create some very unique beats. What's going on, All Access Lifers, and welcome to another product review.
Okay, so the Skoog has lots and lots of possibilities, and when you program it, you can select what instruments you want or what key. And so if the band is or the orchestra are playing a song in, a certain key, you can make sure that the notes and the instrument that you choose on the Skoog will blend in with what the other students are playing. Here's a gal who was part of a marching band using her Skoog, and so just a really awesome opportunity. She's got the backpack and an external speaker in there with the iPad in her backpack, and that's what she's using when they march for the performance. So another great way to get students involved in music. And really the Skoog, there are very few students who can't touch and access at least some part of it, so you can have them make all sorts of beautiful music. So I want to share this with you. I attended a 40-minute little workshop with Dr. Ben, who's the developer of Skoog, and let him know what I was doing. And he gave us, which are linked here, lots of their YouTube playlists for different things you can do with the Skoog, from using it in special education, using the songbook, which is a little bit like Guitar Hero, where the colors come and you hit the colors to make the song, and then arranging music, then all of these different PDFs for how to do things and how to use Scratch. So lots of resources he shared with us. So definitely it is a very robust and cool tool. You can also do coding, which in my mind is a whole nother form of art as well, with the Skoog. So super, super fun. All right, the beams. What the beams is it has 4 laser beams. So there's 4 laser beams here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. And when you break the beams, it plays music. And so you can set all sorts of, you can have like background music where you're harmonizing with it. You can set it up to where it's playing just certain instruments and certain notes. It's switch accessible. You can use switches on a computer or an iPad. It's eye gaze accessible. and adaptive keyboard accessible. So it's really great to work on that agency, that directionality, sequencing, timing, fine and gross motor skills, and more. And this is one of my friends here checking it out for the first time. So, and after just a couple of seconds, he kind of has it figured out.
Nice.
So super, super fun. And then this is just kind of how I set it up with the switches. So I'll play this for you quick. So you can see on the computer, you get like, here's the snare drum, the tom's drum, the crash, and a kick. And you want to make sure that your switch interface that you're going to use with it lets you program it to where you can use the keys Q, W, E, R, T, Y. So Beams has their own controller. I believe you can custom set up the Bluetooth to use with it as well, and maybe the Praetorian. So here we go. Here's what it looks like in action. So you see it turns green when I hit the switch, and then it makes the instrument play. Okay, and the Jambox, which is like a harmonica type thing, is another wonderful UDL tool for music. And there's a YouTube channel here for Jambox that you can look at what they have published. This is an adaptive instrument, looks like in a middle school to high school band. So let's see.
Jambox. It is a MIDI controller, much the same as a keyboard MIDI controller is. The difference is, instead of using our fingers for the keys, she can use her air, inhaling, exhaling, the same as a harmonica. And with that, she's able to control the MIDI controller with the computer, and the voices on the computer are much the same as your, if you have a keyboard at home. She can make sounds like percussion. She can make sounds, sound effects. But just as importantly, she can play just about any wind instrument in the band, and she can play flute and French horn. In fact, she played the French horn part with the national anthem, although you may not have even realized she was playing because it blends with our French horn section and with the rest of the band. Right now she'll do just a little bit on sax for us. Thank you. And the thing it is with the MIDI controller, you can control the articulation, the dynamics, just as any instrument is. And it's got all the advantages and disadvantages of any of our wind instruments. And as a beginner, she's doing extremely well.
All All right, so that's a little bit about the Jambox. So the Skoog is about the Skoog, the beams, and the Jambox are right in that $200 to $300 price range. So definitely much cheaper than purchasing an instrument for band. So definitely worth checking out. Definitely worth looking into getting something. The Jambox has replaceable mouthpieces, so you could clean it and use it, and always have a fresh mouthpiece if you have, more than one student at some point using it. So let's talk a little bit about FoodArt. And so this is like, let's include everybody in the fun. So tools that you need an AAC device, a power link, which is basically a device that plugs into the wall, and then any electrical appliance becomes switch accessible. So you can do all sorts of fun, cool things with that. So you can use the power link to operate a blender, a mixer, a food processor, a salad shooter, which if you haven't heard of, there's a link in the resources as well of where to get one of those. They're on this amazing tool that's kind of like a grater. And you basically put the fruit or vegetables in it, and then you push it through, and it'll either grate it or slice it. And so you'd have to have your helper person pushing it down, but then you could operate that and make all sorts of fun, kind of crazy food art. If you were brave, you could try like an electric knife, where the student could be operating the electric knife when you told them we're ready to go. You can use the switch adaptive pouring device that we looked at earlier. Fancy design waffles, which I'm sure you can get like probably at Goodwill, and other places as well, but I'm willing to bet there's some in Goodwill or thrift shops. And a pancake, you can use a pancake griddle or a pancake mold. So here's some ideas of pancake and waffle art. So the dinosaur was with a pancake mold. This is just using the pouring, you could use a pouring tool and pour pancakes and then make it into some type of animal. And then these are just some fun. They have like Disney molds and Star Wars molds. So those are just some fun food art you can do. Looking at smoothie art. So this one up here, you could use the blender to mix the smoothie. They could be making choices about what fruit is in it. And then you could use a small food processor to grind up the graham crackers and make the beach scene. Again, your switch adaptive pouring device, you could use that to pour the milk or whatever, to pour the ingredients into the blender. So lots and lots of ideas there. And again, talked about some food art using your power link, a salad shooter, a food processor that will slice vegetables, or an electric knife as well, to do some fun food art. And here's some resources. So I did a webinar last month on fun, engaging switch activities, and I'll open this up for you. You have access to all of these other switch activities, and then I have added the art activities here. So they're a little, anywhere there is blueprint, it is hyperlinked to a video, so you can watch some of the videos that I've made to help you see how easy it is to do these things. And I think that's it. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. And if you do some fun activities, please reach out and share them with me. Thank you so much.